Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Coaches, One Topic. And today, I think this topic is going to be super helpful for so many people, not just professionals, but when you're out socializing as well. Today, I'm joined by Tricia Evans and Wendy Shaw, and as always, I am going to hand you over to Tricia to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her business and where she's dialing in from. Over to you, Tricia.
Okay, great. Thanks, Donna. Nice to be here, and thank you for the invitation. Well, I'm a business coach, and I've been in Dubai. I lived in the UAE for like nearly 30 years, and I've been a coach that long. So I was the first coach in the region, and that was in the days before Dubai exploded onto the world stage. So it's been a fantastic ride. Just very briefly, my tagline is "Be successful on purpose." Like, don't guess. Don't faff around. Don't do the same old stuff if it's not working. And I think that's where working with a coach can be great. They can be your secret weapon to help you stop, think, focus, and then have a series of really helpful conversations that move you forwards. So that's what I do. I think it's a privilege being a coach. I've got amazing clients. I do one-on-one, I do teams, and got to say, not going to end anytime soon because I love it and it makes a difference and it can be absolutely transformational. So that's me. Over to you, Wendy.
Sorry, Wendy, let me just jump in here. I just want to take a minute to celebrate you, Tricia, because I have just moved from Dubai to Ras Al Khaimah, and you have been instrumental in that move, and not only personally, but professionally as well. So
thank you.
It does help. And thank you so very much for cutting out the BS and, asking those questions. And I had to answer them, so that was wonderful.
It's called keeping it real and authentic. And Donna and I are now neighbours in Ras Al Khaimah, and we both have amazing views overlooking the sea. So it's
I know. Don't tell everyone; they're going to come here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Donna. Thanks.
You're welcome. Wendy, over to you, my darling.
Okay, well, I'm in Dubai and I'm in the greens, so I can see greenery, but I can't see the sea. I've also been in Dubai for quite a while, 23 years. Training is my background, coaching, and then training coaches, and then discovering NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and embraining. So lots of different modalities to play with. What else do you want to know? So simply, I work with individuals. I do team coaching. I do executive coaching sometimes. Because I teach coaches, I don't necessarily sort of niche and focus on one specific area. I like to see what comes to me. And then I have even more examples to share when I'm teaching coaches.
And it is fantastic. I've worked alongside you. I've been part of your programs. You are a dear friend of mine. You have been a complete rock for me. And really appreciate everything that you do, and you offer unlimited support. So thank you.
And I'm coming to Ras Al Khaimah on Saturday.
I know, beach time. Looking forward to it. So I've also lived in the UAE for 29 years. So I was saying to Tricia and Wendy beforehand, collectively, we've been here for about 82 years, which makes us sound really old. We were all born here. That's all I can say. So I'm a joy and purpose coach. I work primarily with parents and connecting with their children, with their partners, and with their children. And I was in education for 26 years. I started off as a Montessori teacher right up to secondary learning support. When I became a coach, I saw a gap and started supporting coaches here in the UAE, which is going international, and I am partnering with an accreditation school, and it's very exciting, and it's not going to be bums on seats. This is for coaches that want to collaborate authentically and ethically. So really excited about that. Anyway, let's move on to today's subject, because this one, for me personally speaking, as an introvert, I do find very, very difficult. So we're going to be discussing about networking, and it's the network effect and amplifying your reach one connection at a time. Now, you two, I've seen you both work a room and talk to people. You guys are masters at this. So I would love to know, what is your definition of networking, first off?
Wow. Shall I start? Well, my definition, I think networking is just such a fundamental part of marketing. It's just absolutely a fundamental part. It's how you know what's going on. It's how you know who's doing what. It's how you know who to connect with. It's how you get on the radar of other people so they know who you are. And later on, I'm very happy to talk about introverts and extroverts, because I coach. I think there are far more introverts than extroverts in the world. And I hear a lot of people say they struggle with networking. And definitely that's something I'd like to pick up later on, because, there are great ways to sort of to network, which doesn't make you sell your soul, whatever. But it's just, for me, it's so fundamental. And I work for myself. I've been solo for 30 years. And quite frankly, it's lonely. And anybody who's watching this, who's working for themselves, it's lonely, and you can do the best work ever. You can be the best coach, whatever it is you are. But really, if you're not connecting with other people, that's what gives you perspective and a touch point. It's amazing. And also, I think whatever your job is, if you're not good at marketing, you can be working in the corporate world. And if you're not good at marketing, if people don't know who you are, really? Whose fault is that? So that's where I see networking fit. So I don't know what your take is on it, Wendy.
I think it's stepping outside of my comfort zone and putting myself out there and meeting new people. And yeah, I totally agree, Tricia. It's very much, I'd say, especially here in the UAE, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yep. So, a lot of job opportunities that come along, if you don't know somebody who can put in a word for you, then you're unlikely to get it. So I think it's about meeting people, and people move on. Who else is around? I remember feeling sort of, I know people know me, and then, they leave or they relocate, and it's like, you've all gone. What about me? So it's about, I'd say my network is really about the people who I don't necessarily work in the same industry, but work in different areas, different scopes. And it's spreading the love. I'd say it's building connections.
Yeah, I agree. It is about building connections. And I think the biggest takeaway I had when I started my own business, because before I was working in a school, so we had to have inset days, and we got to know each other that way. So when you start your own business, it was a completely new world to me.
Yeah.
And I went in with the mindset of, I want to learn from people. I want to genuinely be interested in what they do. Yeah. I am not good at selling myself. Never have been. And I know we should add yet and all the rest of it, but I'm far more interested in other people than I am trying to get business, which is not very good.
Well, actually, can I jump in there? Because I don't think networking is about selling yourself. I think it's about building relationships, and it's about forging a connection, and it's about being curious about other people. If you go in, I think there's nothing more irritating than going to an event or on LinkedIn or whatever, when you say, you connect with someone, 10 seconds later, they're selling you, hard selling. In a million years, I will never do business with people like that. Whereas other people you just connect with, be it face-to-face or online, you start to say, I quite like the look of that person. I quite like the sort of things they post, and they're sort of, like me. And then you've got a really authentic relationship. Now from that, you can then sort of build. But we were looking at titles for this sort of thing. One of the things was, Donna had sort of mentioned small talk, and that just makes me bristle like mad, because I don't think there's anything like small talk. I think it's about people and connecting, and I don't think people are ever small. And I think they're far too important. So that's it's not about selling yourself ever. It's about letting people know what you do or how you can help, but that's a different thing, and it's not flogging what you do. It's different.
Yeah, I always find it much easier to talk about other people than talking about myself.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to ask questions and sort of have that massive curiosity. You know, what do you do? What brings you here? You know, have you met any nice people so far? Tell me, who should I avoid? There are people like that. Yeah. And building on to that small talk, there's nothing worse. And with people selling directly to you, I'd say the ultimate no of networking is to interrupt a couple of people who were having a conversation and just pushing your business card on them. Oh, that got my back up. I would not. What do I do with their business card? I've got no connection. I don't know who they are. I know nothing about them. Their business card goes in the bin. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So, yeah. First impressions have a big impact in networking. And you remember the people that were kind and nice. Yeah,
I was just about to say that. I went to my first networking event at Female Fusion, and I think it was a fire starter breakfast or something. I was talking to myself in the lift, in the car drive over. I was so nervous. I think I had this sort of like Wallace and Gromit smile on my face. Just like, oh dear. And sat down at the table, and some ladies came, and we just started discussing things, and they were so welcoming, and they weren't trying to sell their business. The next time I went, I made a beeline for them, and then I started to ask more purposeful, curious questions, because I'd got rid of all that fear and nervousness to start off with. But I just want to pick up on something that you said. Is I think we need to be careful. We never know who we're talking to or connecting with. We don't know their connections. So
that's why I love LinkedIn, because you can see exactly who their connections are. It's fantastic.
But some people, but again, it's interesting though, Tricia, because somebody might turn around and say to me, what do you do? And I'll say, I'm a parent coach. Oh, okay, that's nice, and walk off. And then I find out their business and what they do. And I could be like, oh, gosh, I could have connected you to Tricia. I could have connected you to somebody else. But you didn't take the time to come and talk to me, to get to know me as a person. You just saw that job title and disregarded me on the spot.
Yeah. It's funny with networking. I'm a planner. I'm one of life's ultimate planners. I plan everything. And I'm perfectly capable of throwing the plan away if something better comes along, but I'm a planner. And I'm very, very strategic about how I network. I've been a coach here a long time. I operate at senior levels. I want people at the right sort of level. I want interesting, authentic, real people. I want professionals. I don't want the fly-by-nights. I'm not interested. And so whether that's face-to-face or online, and I think both are equally important. And LinkedIn is heaven sent for introverts. They can network like crazy with everybody, and they don't have to actually talk to a soul. So, it's amazing. It can be great. But I'm very, very strategic, and I'm very clear why I network. One, sitting alone, I can have great ideas sitting here in my office, but heck, it gives you perspective. You find out who's doing who. You meet interesting people. And I've always thought that you just meet, it's one comment from one person, and wow, your life can go off in a different trajectory, or you can end up with an amazing new client or amazing new direction, or just a great blooming idea. And as well as that, if you're real, you do get on the radar of potential clients, as long as they know what you do. And, and I'm a coach, actually, we're all coaches. And I think I would say 90% of coaches I see marketing, they're trying to flog coaching. Nobody buys coaching. They buy, it's not about the coach. It's never about us. Networking isn't about us. So people who worry about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? That's worrying about yourself. and instead of thinking, right, who's going to be there? What sort of people would I like to connect with? If I'm going to a big event, I will find the administrator in advance, see if I can get a list of who's there, and I'm targeting a few people. I'm very focused, and I'm very clear what I want to do. But then as a result, it's not sort of an accident, and I just meet amazing people. But I don't want to just have random people who give out business cards, because my background's marketing with Unilever, and I suppose I was brought up well in the art of marketing. So that's really important. But it's about being real, being really authentic, and really connecting. Because I think, especially since COVID, the single thing I hear people say, they're overwhelmed and they're lonely. And I think if you meet face to face, or if you take the time, either online or face to face, to really, really be interested in someone else and what makes them tick and what they do, that connection and that bond will be different for life, rather than handing out business cards or whatever. It's about connecting, but connecting at the right level. I made that mistake when I first came to Dubai. You make friends with anyone because you're lonely, and then you think, geez, I'd never make friends with half these people if I was in my home country. And you start to get more selective, and you start to understand who you are and what you want out of the networking. So I'm a huge planner, and if I'm coaching someone and they've got a business conference coming up, I'll work with them so that they go in very planned, so they really, really, really make the most of that session. So that was a little speech. Sorry about that. But I'm kind of passionate about it. So many people waste networking opportunities, and they should not be going to events. And to really plan it, think it through, and really add value. Powerful as hell. Right.
I think setting yourself some objectives of what do you want to get out of it before you go. Several years ago, a long time ago, I actually did a couple of modeling projects on two really good networkers. I was asked to do applying NLP into networking, and that's really based on modeling people who are really good at what they do. And both of them agreed that they had different approaches, but both agreed setting objectives of what kind of people you want to meet. If you're looking for a connection, if you're looking to help somebody, if you're looking to, I don't know. And one of the things was getting the list from the organizer in advance. That's a great one. So you know who's there. Another one was really about being very selective in what networking events to attend. Because if you're looking to build your tribe, you go to where your tribe is going to hang out. If you're looking to connect with very senior business owners, you're not going to find them at a local coffee shop. It's going to be more of a specialized organized event. But another objective, she said, oh, I might go and sort of want 2 or 3 things, but if I meet one person and I'm interested in them, then I will spend the whole evening chatting to them. And yet another approach was, spend 15 minutes max and then remove myself and move on. So one was very much working the room, and the other one was, I'll work the room, but if I find a good connection, I'm in there. And it's like, interesting. Yeah. So for me, I find that I feel more comfortable when I have a role. So if I'm networking, I will be the person who's looking out for the person walking in the room who looks, oh my God, what am I doing here? They're lacking confidence. I will go over and welcome them, or smile, come and join us, ask a few questions. I'm that person.
That's lovely. That's a really great idea, actually.
Yeah. We definitely need people like that who are welcoming. It makes a huge difference. Really, really does. And on that note, then let's explore the difference of, introverted and extroverted people when they're doing networking events. As I said, being an introvert, I do find it very, very difficult. Once I get to know people, and in very small groups, you can't shut me up. But I overcompensate when I'm nervous and in a networking event. and I don't portray the best side of me. So do you have tips on that for introverts?
Yeah, it helps to go, if you have to go at all, and that's a choice. If you have to go at all, go with somebody. So that you're not walking in on your own, because that's the highest point of stress for most introverts. Whereas an extrovert would think, great, all those lovely new people to meet, or strong would. An introvert would just think, oh my God, when can I go home? And or let me even not even go in. So definitely going with somebody, connecting with people before, knowing that you're actively looking for somebody there, talking to the administrator to say, can you point me in the direction of so-and-so? But a lot of, a bit like you said, Donna, then you said like small groups. Introverts function infinitely better in small groups. And sometimes these big networking events, it's not where they shine. It's not where they want to be. And there's other areas, other arenas where they're just, really kick-ass, really great, but not there. So I think that's all part of being strategic and planning, really. And come on, LinkedIn is an amazing networking tool, and I think for introverts, it's particularly powerful. Because they think stuff through. Strong extroverts, we sort of tend to think with our mouths open, whereas introverts will think it through and do something really, really well thought through. So I don't know, Wendy, anything there?
Yeah. No, I'd agree that going with somebody, this is why when I say I'm much more comfortable talking about somebody else, but to introduce each other is a really good one. Be careful who you go with, because I know Carol and I, because we worked so closely together for such a long time, we'd go to a networking event, we'd have a catch up. It's like, we must do some networking. And there was one event, we literally went opposite sides of the room, met at the other end and thought, we're wasting our time. We're not networking because we're talking to each other. So it's being selective with who you go with and having a plan. I'd say that's a big one. I'll steal the term from Phil Bedford. He refers to situational extroverts, and I can so relate to that, as a trainer as well. I am an introvert. I like to recharge. I need to be alone. But I can turn it on and pretend, act as if I'm loving this and I'm loving all of these people. And in fact, inside I'm thinking, oh, yeah. I went to one event just before Christmas, and it was a networking event, but there was food involved. And I went up for my second dessert, I think it was. And on my way back, I spotted one lady sitting on her own. And I just went over and checked. And I said, hi. I said, are you on your own? And she said, yes. I said, well, do you mind if I join you? Because I knew the table I was on were all familiar faces, and I knew them all very well. And that turned into a really nice conversation. And she wasn't actually on her own. There were two other people on that table that were getting food and came back and joined. But yeah, we've met up twice since. She came to me with a business opportunity, and it's kind of just turned into this, wow, all of that from just, instead of walking past, just stopping and saying, hi, are you alone? I'll come and join you. So, yeah. And I'm happier talking to small groups because you can learn more rather than the bigger groups. So, yeah. Dr. Ivan Meisner, he talks about open and closed groups. So when you're physically networking, if we're talking to each other, we're face to face, that's a closed group. But it's like opening up and it's sort of creating a space. So I'm talking to you sort of more this way, and then you're inviting somebody to come and join you. That's a nice technique to use. But also coming from this hostess mode, I'm looking at the door. I'm looking for the people who are uncomfortable. And as they come in, I will open up the group and say, come and join us. So, yeah, it's another nice way. And if you want to have a conversation, then you close your group and you don't allow other people in. Even the guy pushing his business card. Nope, wait.
Yeah, I've been involved in sort of running a number of networking groups, and one thing we've always done is has a person whose their job is to welcome people in as they come through, and to pick off the people, sort of say, do you know anybody? Do you know, let me introduce you around. And it's suddenly, so instead of, you come out the lift and think, oh my goodness, what's ahead, and somebody is a smiling, friendly face, ready to greet you and introduce you around. It's such an important role, such an important role.
I remember on one of the modeling projects, somebody who was an excellent networker really had to prepare himself and sort of prepare himself before walking into the room. And he'd like sort of make sure his tie was straight and his suit was straight, and he's sort of stepping into that, right, I'm going to do this, put a smile on his face and walk in with a purpose. Yeah. But he planned it all out. It was a well thought through strategy, because he wanted to be perceived as this person, but he had to prepare himself to make sure he was coming from the right space.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Wendy, because as I mentioned to you ladies beforehand, that, I try to do articles to accompany, all the 3 Coaches 1 Topics if relevant. And I've put together some tools and strategies and tips and so forth to prepare yourself before and after a networking event. But I would love to hear your takes. What are some of your tips for people, again, for the introvert and for the extroverts? Because sometimes the extroverts, are going in like a bull in a china shop and, don't make those deep, meaningful connections. So what can people do in preparation of a networking event?
I think for an introvert, something to consider is to get there early when there's only a few people there. So that removes the whole walking into a room full of people. And then you can sort of make 1 or 2 connections that you're comfortable with before the masses arrive. I'd say that's a useful one. Tricia, any ideas?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I love that getting there early. I think that's my advice to anyone for everything. Every meeting you go to for the rest of your life, get there early. Every business, business session, every training session, any networking event, get there early. You are so far ahead of other people when you get there early. And especially for introverts, it means you're grounded and calm, and there's a sense of you're welcoming people in as opposed to walking in on a massive big club, so it's super advice, that, and it's huge, absolutely hugely important. But it's having a plan, know why you're there, know what you want. So if somebody says, hi, what are you doing here, or what do you do, or whatever, you're not just sort of thinking, oh my god, I've got to memorize my thing. That's not what it's about. It's the best thing ever is to say hi. Hi, have you been to these things before? Are they useful? And then suddenly you shift the focus, and it's a relationship instead of some awful awkward thing going on. People are people, but I said before, I'm a planner. I'm a planner and I'm an early bird, and both of them stand me in great stead. And introverts should always remember, not all extroverts go breezing in happily to things either. They might be energized once they're there, but that point of contact, that point when you first go in, is pretty stressful for most people. And I think any of us can do to make it easier for people to come in, you'll be remembered as, a decent human being over and above anything else. And they'll remember you, and they won't. And I think that's really important. But a couple of things in terms of the planning as well. I know where I get my business from, and I analyze that quite often. And a big part, I've been around a long time, so a lot of it comes from word of mouth. Now, in order for somebody to recommend you, they need to know you. Yeah. Or they need to have worked with you, or they need to have a conversation, or they need to connect with you, or they need to think you talk sense, or whatever. And that can only happen, really, when you actually meet people. And so that's why I think the planning and preparation, especially for introverts, is to think through, how do they want people to feel when they meet them? So it's not, oh my gosh, what am I going to say about whatever? But I mean, I'm very clear. If people meet me online or face to face, I want them to feel I'm a safe pair of hands. I know what I'm doing, and it's sort of, it's no bull. It's just common sense stuff that works, but it works. And, that's the sort of impression I want to follow through. And I find that introverts in particular don't often think through the impact they want to make on other people. They don't get that far. And as soon as they do, everything shifts.
Yeah.
Because the conversation with an introvert is usually dramatically deeper, dramatically just goes places, but you've got to start it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I think it's important to recognize you may not say there's 30, 40, 50 people plus there. If you haven't spoken to everyone and you've only spoken to one or two people, as I think you mentioned earlier, Wendy, it could still be a successful, networking event. And I think that preparation beforehand as well is, that checklist. What is the purpose of me going? I always turn up to everything early, sometimes too early. They're setting up the table still and I'll help them. Yeah. And also another big thing for me personally is be comfortable in what you're wearing, of how you're presenting yourself. If you think everybody's going to be wearing suits or high heels and dresses and you're not comfortable in those, wear something that you are comfortable, that is still going to represent you as a professional as you are. But you don't have to conform, because if you're uncomfortable, this is just going to add, to that stress.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And the planning in advance and all that thinking, that is all about making you more comfortable before you even walk in. So it's reducing the terror or the fear or the concern. But the clothes thing is a big thing.
Yeah. I'd say you could also plan some good questions to ask. What brings you here? What was the last networking event you went to? Was that useful for you? What's going well for you at the moment? What are your challenges right now in your business? So it's not just about what do you do, but it's also you can prepare in terms of when you are asked about what you do, you, rather than say, oh, I'm a coach, you need to expand on that. You need to be able to say something that is going to interest and get them to say, oh, really? And how does that work? So say something short. Don't go into a long spiel about, oh, well, I do this and I do this and I help people with this, this and this, and I'm certified in this and this. It's not your LinkedIn profile. That's not what you should respond with. It should really be, well, I like to help people become more successful. Oh, really? How do you do that? So you're starting a conversation rather than just spewing everything you can possibly think of. Oh, I prepared an elevator speech. Now I'm going to say all of it. And have a conversation. That's what.
Sorry. Oh, Wendy, I have to jump in because you're making me giggle, because you're making me think of a time. I was in a networking event and asked somebody what they did, and this guy turned around and says, I'm an accountant, and it killed the conversation. Now, again, and he felt like he had to apologize. Obviously, we laughed about it and it was okay. But it's a case of, well, you're actually more than just the job title accountant. You help people buy. And he was just like, yeah, I do. This is what I do. So it's about getting excited and digging that little bit deeper, and apart from that one,
Yeah. Sorry, it's in my head. Is that a calculator in your pocket? Are you just pleased to see me?
Yeah, it's about being interested and curious, isn't it, on other people? And I think one thing I find sort of with the coaching, it's really important for me to make a safe space. And increasingly, I don't think people have a safe space very often. where they feel truly safe, they can truly let their, be themselves or whatever. And I think that's super important to actually be able to try and sort of make people feel comfortable talking and make it safe and then make them feel seen. And I think that is massively important. I mean, really seen. And that's what people feel when you ask the sort of questions you were talking about before, Wendy, or sort of, because you go deeper and you think, okay, oh, that's interesting, or, how does that work, or tell me more. And suddenly they think, oh gosh, she's interested, and I think all of us need to feel that. And so often people don't these days.
Listening is key. When you ask a question, you really need to listen to the answer and what they're saying to be able to then further build on it. If you're talking more than you're listening, then you're not communicating effectively. So interesting one.
I just arrived in Ras Al Khaimah and I went to a coffee morning, and honestly, so friendly, the nicest, friendliest ladies I have ever met.
That's my gang, Donna.
You weren't there.
I was coaching.
And everybody was so welcoming, and it was quite funny because I ended up only talking to a couple of ladies, and other ladies were coming in, and I was hearing what they were saying, and I was thinking, I want to connect with you. And that's what I did afterwards. So those that I didn't really get a chance to talk with and to learn more about, I said to them afterwards, please, can we catch up and connect? And I've gone for a coffee, and some of them are coming on 3 Coaches, 1 Topic. And, I think that's really, really important, that if you do hear a conversation going on and it sparks your interest, it's okay to turn around and say, listen, I don't have time now, I'm leaving, or what have you. Can we pick this up? I really would love to learn more about you.
Yeah.
And that's empowering for that other person as well. I mean, that's nice to know that, oh, okay, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, it's the follow-up, isn't it? It's you can meet people, but if that's it, then you might bump into them again one day. But if you meet people, then follow up and reach out to them, connect with them. Social media is really fabulous for tracking people down and connecting them.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth then. I was going to say the follow-up is one of the most critical things ever, because so many people go to networking and then, later they'll think, now, who was that guy? He was really interesting. What was his name? Instead of actually taking details then, connecting on LinkedIn, following up, and then, and connecting with them and following what they post or whatever. And it's sort of, and it's taking the next action. Because if you take that next action, you're being proactive. It says something loud and clear about you, but you've also, and you've taken the pressure off of them, but you've created the connection. It's really powerful. It's very strategic if you do networking right. Very strategic.
Yeah.
You need a plan. You need to follow up. There needs to be a process. It's not just, I think I'll go to this networking thing and see who I chat to. That for me is a waste of space. But because I was thinking when I moved up to, I'd been in Dubai a long time, moved up to Ras Al Khaimah, and straight away I was thinking, gosh, I need to find out some people here. So there's certain things I needed to know, like I needed a handyman, I needed to know who does electrics, water. Yeah. So then, right, okay, how do you find out that? So, okay, there's Facebook groups, Rack Ladies group or whatever. Right, I need to, who's up here, what level of business are we doing, right? What business groups are up here? Get involved there. So it's the planning, it's deciding what you want, putting things in place, and then connecting with people, at the right level. And then it just works. It works. Yeah.
And it's very much as well, when you do start asking questions and you do start joining those Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or what have you, is about commenting on other people's posts, stepping out instead of just hearting or liking or what have you. Actually write a comment that you have seen and read and heard, and that person, that acknowledgement.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, it's funny because anyone who posts, guarantee they will know and recognize the names of the people who comment. 100%. It's such an easy way to stand out. As long as it's real, it's got to be authentic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because online, even more so than face to face, oh my gosh, can you tell the charlatans from 100 paces? It's just incredible. People who think that, AI can write the whole thing for them, or they can be this amazing thing. I mean, really? Get real, no. It doesn't work like that. So, but people who are really connect and what they can do for people and how they can help, it powerful beyond, and especially for introverts, but for all of us.
Yeah. I would love to know your take on how are you with physical sort of like business cards or QR codes and so forth. I still have a physical business card. I personally like them because if I do meet somebody and I collect them and I put them in my bag, I remember. If they transfer it onto my phone, I forget where to look. I'm not very tech savvy, so that information's lost. But also, for me, one of the tips is if you do have a physical card, have your photo on your business card, because they will let you the same.
Yeah, I have a photo. I do have business cards, and a lot of my clients, they vary in age really. It's sort of from about early 30s to sort of mid 50s, and they're different generations. So you've actually got, they appeal. So the older people still use business cards, definitely. It's an age thing, but I mean, I deal at senior levels, and usually they're the more senior people in the room. So that's my target market. So I do that. But equally as well, if you've got the millennials or whatever coming through, and it's all about fast tracking them through, they need to see that you're not a dinosaur, and that you sort of get. So I think you need to be flexible and adaptable. And again, it's planning. Who are your clients? What are you aiming at? What impression do you want to give? And then decide what's appropriate. But I personally still have business cards and with my photo on.
Yeah. So. I'm still using up business cards with an old photo. Yeah. But I've also saved my Linktree QR code as, you know, it depends how they want to connect with me. Some people are Instagrammers, other people want my newsletter, other people want my LinkedIn, let them choose how they want to connect with me. I find that works quite well. Give them choice and then stand over them and wait for them to do it.
I have on my business card. I do have my photo and I have the QR code for the Linktree, but underneath as well, it's got, my email address and website all in one. So yeah, my daughter helped me design that. So she's clever. She's like, "Oh, Mum, let me help you." It's frustrating to watch.
One of the advantages of having kids at that age group, it's great. I do a lot of sort of networking in advance of events as well. So say for example, next month I'm working in Ireland. I'll be running a big event for 30 engineers from around the world, and I've already connected on LinkedIn, and we're already having conversations. So it's going to feel like we've actually sort of almost met before we actually get together, and then I'm strong on the follow up after that as well. And I see all of that as networking. It's all part of your marketing, and it's all part of building these relationships, building the connections, and going deeper than just superficial stuff. Yeah. So, it's interesting. Networking is so important. So important.
It is, and I think also another nice way to look at it as well. It also starts giving you the opportunity to run your own networking events yourself. So that can be small groups. You can meet up in your own house. You can meet up at the beach. You can meet up in a coffee shop or where have you. So, learn from how, again, it's that intention of when you're going to these events. A lot of times I will go to these events and I'm thinking, right, what can I learn? What can I take away? How can I get better? How can I feel more comfortable? How can I greet people? This is a new environment for me. So my intention here today is not to collect business cards and to promote my business. It is to literally learn and feel the, atmosphere and everything as well. So yeah, you have to step out of your comfort zone to see how these events are organized, and what kind of people you want to attract.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's all part of the planning, I think, for me, deciding what, do I want to learn about that? Like for example, at the moment, I've been looking for a local, not an online, a local graphic designer. So when I go to the RAC Business Group, it's very specifically targeting, that, and I want to meet them. Anyway, so that's a very intentional thing for me to do, but I'd only go if the speaker was of interest. So but it's all intentional.
It is all intentional. Okay, ladies, we've got about 10-15 minutes left. Is there anything that you can think of, even from your past experiences, some things that have gone well and some things that didn't really go too well when you started networking, that you can share with people listening in today?
Well, yes, in the early days of running groups, so I was just thinking then, and it's led to good practices lately, realizing that we didn't welcome people in, and so you missed them. Because they not only didn't enjoy that event, they didn't come back and they told other people about it. So if you don't get these things right, if you don't think them through, it does come back and bite you on the bum. So, things like that, and not being intentional about what it is, or not communicating it well, or whatever. So yeah, I think it's just not thinking things through and then having something happen and not being prepared for it. I think that they're my sort of, I suppose I'm a planner, so they would be my horror stories. Yeah.
And Wendy,
but you learn.
oh, sorry.
No, you learn from it. Okay.
Yeah, you do absolutely learn.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits, I've been involved with BNI since 2010, and that's puts me outside of my comfort zone, but it also builds that familiarity because I'm meeting the same people each week. So how did I get good at networking? By practicing it. You don't get good at something if you don't do it. So the more you do something, the more comfortable it gets. But find what's right for you. I think by connecting people, by introducing, I shared with Tricia just before we went live that with introducing people, recommending people within my network, I think it's so important that I know them, I trust them, and I know that they're going to do a good job and follow up. Because if they don't, that detracts from my own reputation.
Sure.
So by making connections, I need to make sure that I'm connecting the right person with somebody that I know and trust is going to do a good job. So I won't be bullied into doing that. Some people will just, they will get hold of my details, or they will meet me once and then they will send me all of their company profile. Wendy, I want to meet with you. I want to do this. I want you to introduce me to your network. And it's like, well, why would I? I'm not going to be recommending people just because I've met them once. So yeah, I am careful in terms of who I connect people with, because if they don't have a great reputation, then that's going to impact my reputation. I think that's a key one.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we discussed this beforehand, and I don't recommend a lot of coaches unless I know that they are legal. They do have those business licenses, especially here, and they are credible as well. So when somebody says to me, "Oh, Donna, I'm looking for this kind of coach, that kind of coach," could I name people? Yes, because you meet a lot of people. But am I going to recommend them? No, because I don't know enough about them. I'm happy to say to somebody, you may want to look in this area and do your research. What are you looking for? What questions? So I help support them with that by, encouraging them to ask deeper questions apart from how much do you charge and what's your service. So yeah, I do agree. I think your reputation, you've got to be very, very careful, because this is your livelihood. This is something that you've invested in to get you to the standard that you are at.
Well, it's also part of your tribe, isn't it? It's part of, the right level of tribe. And if you're recommending great people, then it reflects on you. And if you recommend someone who's rubbish, then that's a bit of a downer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just thought of another thing for introverts actually that I've seen work incredibly well, is where they actually say if there's a business group or something where they volunteer to get involved with the committee, because A, they add tremendous value to the committee, B, it gives them a completely great role, and I've been involved with. I'm a committee type person. I get involved in loads of things, and invariably it's the people who are the thinkers. They bring great ideas. They're the planners, and the introverts do incredibly well at that, and it gives them a superb role in the networking. So it takes all that panic away because they're helping to organise, and I've seen that work really, really well.
Great tip. I love that one, because you do go in with a sense of purpose and you feel you're contributing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a big thing, is that sense of, contributing to that committee or to that event. And you automatically, and authentically start to get to know and speak to other people. So yeah, that is a great tip. Great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, on that note, we are going to sign off, and I would just like to thank you both so very, very much for joining me today and sharing your expertise. As always, as soon as I press stop, all these ideas are going to come to our heads. Wendy, if this happens to her. So when I release this, if you do have anything to add, please add it into the comment section. And for those that are watching, if there's something that you would like to share or you would like to know more from Wendy and from Tricia or myself, again, please, I invite you to leave it in the comment section. So on that note, from the UAE, I would like to bid you all a very good day. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Donna. Bye, Wendy. Thanks. See you. Bye.